Hey, what's up, key holders, and welcome back to Minted Keys. I'm your host, Sid, and today we're going to be deep diving into some serious Batman comics. And I have a couple other Marvel issues, which is something I know I haven't had in the past previous videos that I've done. Mainly my Detective Comics and Batman is very low, and I'm just doing a lot of catch ups, unfortunately. There's a lot of Batman in my videos, so we're going to change it up a little bit on this one. Starting off with the Detective Comics 1989 annual. I know a lot of you guys are into the Absolute Batman, and this was a very controversial cover. As I mentioned in my previous videos, how, this isn't really anything new that we've had in the Batman universe. This issue basically kind of goes over Bruce coming to a small town and kind of goes into flashbacks when he was younger, 17, kind of making a fake ID and changing his identity and going off to the small town to learn from a detective, which is Harvey here, and that's young Bruce. And they're trying to solve this case together, and they have to deal with the locals type stuff, kind of similar to what we see in this issue. I don't really know if it's like much of a tribute to the Absolute Batman, but seeing this at the comic book store really reminded me of this. And since they're both annuals, this is just something I had to pick up. So, just look out for these. They are, 40 years old, but the art is really good. And you have the Harvey Harris and kind of Bruce going back into his past. So, I like it. Anything that kind of forms the Batman ethos and mythos is just something that I really like, especially as the past. And it just kind of shows how we don't really have mentorships in today's world. Back in the 80s, this is how you learned a craft. This is how you became a master at what you wanted to be. When you were younger, you'd find people that you admired and train and hang out under them. So this is kind of like what Batman does in this episode. We don't want to give away too many spoilers, but now with AI and the internet, it's, kids get their mentorships just differently, or forums and stuff. So it may be a little interesting kind of read for the younger generation, but for us millennials and older folk, it kind of does take you back to some older and a little bit more simpler times. So definitely adding the annual 1989 to the collection. It's actually in pretty good shape. I'm pretty happy with this pickup. Sidekick got a bunch of collections, and there's a lot of good stuff. So this is kind of what I've been picking out from it. I have annual number 3, which I also did a video on this if you want to check it out. So now I have 2 and 3 added to the collection, and we're going to keep adding to these. I've got a couple more that we'll have in the videos and we'll talk about. So moving right along to the year 1 later. This is also another series I've been talking about. It's the Face to Face part 5 of 8. I actually think I have a full set, but once I finish catching up on my videos, I'll double check and maybe do a story about this one. But it's pretty cool. I'm a big Killer Croc fan, as you guys know. And yeah, this issue has kind of a scene with him, so it's pretty cool. I'm excited to finally finish this story. It's kind of one of the OG comic books that I had in my collection as a kid growing up. So it's going to be nice to finally complete the full set. Here are obviously the other issues for it. It's across Batman and Detective Comics. So slowly but surely we're getting all of those, and hopefully we'll do a video once we read them. Moving on to the next one is 827. This issue is kind of just like a mystery and kind of more detective. It's the Double Talk is the story on this. Really, I'm just getting it to kind of fill some gaps, and I want to say this is also a key issue, I think, for Scarface and the Ventriloquist number 2. So yeah, I think that was the other reason why I ended up picking this up. I don't really know if there are any more story arcs for her. But yeah, I want to say this is the first appearance in key issue. So there you have it, issue 27, also in pretty good shape. We were able to pick it up, and it's kind of got these Alex Ross, non-Alex Ross covers that I've been mentioning about. But yeah, some people don't like them, but for this detective runs, that it was all just black and white and stuff. So adding that to the collection, moving on to number 750. This is a 64 page Batman anniversary. Um, it's anything Ra's al Ghul I've really been adamant about collecting. It's kind of an oversized issue for the 2000s, and it has creative teams with, just a dynamic cover. This is a weird time. Honestly, I don't really like the banner and the way they were doing the Detective Comics in the 700 series, but they're easily, you can differentiate them from all the other ones. The artwork per se, I don't really care for. It's like a monotone with like a green hue. And it's like a very skinny Batman. It's just not my preference of art. And the problem with these 62 page or 64 page issues is they can really just run off and not close the narratives. This one's actually pretty decent. It's not too bad for as far as like a longer issue, but this one kind of has a decent amount of setup. So it kind of finishes off the story arc, so it's not too crazy. It's actually pretty decent. The thing that I like most about this issue is just the relationship with Talia, with Batman and her dad. And her dad Ra's al Ghul, which she's just kind of stuck in the middle, and it kind of just shows how weak she is towards both of them. And yeah, that's kind of really the thing that I got from this issue as far as for my personal writing that I've been doing. But yeah, it's this one I've had a hard time finding, and luckily I got it. It's in really good shape for what I paid for it. So really happy to add this to the collection. More than anything, I really do like this cover. Moving on to the next is the Silver Surfer. So finally, I have some Marvel. Time for a little change in pace, but yeah, this is a Silver Surfer Volume 3, issue number 4. This is kind of the legendary run by Steve Englehart. Volume 1 was just never really anything special. Most people try to collect Volume 1 and 3. And this is kind of what I grew up with as a kid, what was kind of left over in just really cheap comic books. So yeah, the two comics that I had, believe it or not, was this comic right here and a Silver Surfer, until I really started collecting comics. And this is actually the original one that I had from back in the day. It's in horrible shape because I didn't know anything about comics at the time. So yeah, I'm just kind of filling in these little holes here. But yeah, Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers. It's just visually stunning. It's kind of super galactic, and the writing is really good. The art is fantastic. It has a pretty decent story arc to it. I was really just kind of happy. I read this last night, and it definitely is a page turner, and you could just see why this volume was just so iconic for the time, and it still resonates with a lot of us comic book geeks to this day. So if I'm usually pretty early to stuff that people aren't collecting before it gets popular. And let me tell you, I'm collecting Silver Surfer Volume 1 and 3 like crazy. So finding this was a big score. I think I paid just a couple bucks for it. And, the previous issues that you can look up. And they do a lot of issue dropping in this, which is kind of annoying because it makes you want to collect all of them. But trying really hard just to stay focused and get the important issues of Silver Surfer. But yeah, it's a really great cover. More than anything, that's what I got it for. But once I read it, it is a great issue. So adding number 14 to the collection, jumping up a bit, is to number 35. This is one of the most sought after Silver Surfer covers that's out there. It's a great book by Jim Starlin and Ron Lim. It's pretty much super sought after because of the art and the Greater Infinity Gauntlet saga, which crosses over into the Silver Surfer And I mean, it's just, if you're a Thanos fan, you really have to pick this up. The art is just fantastic, and we just have a very Thanos scene of him just bringing balance to the world. And him just kind of complaining about, it's funny because like they're complaining about this stuff in like the 80s, and here we are 40 years later still kind of complaining about the same stuff, but nothing's really changed. The wastelands, and he takes them through all these different planets, and galaxies and species that go extinct. And it's just a really great issue. Like I said, the art's just so fantastic, the coloring, it's everything's on point. This volume is just so great. So highly recommend picking these up. These are Austin Books and Comic were like 20 to 30 bucks. But luckily I found this next door, and I think I paid 10 bucks for it. So easily goes for $20, $15 for one in pretty bad shape. This one is actually in really good shape for what it is. So I'm pretty happy with it, and definitely adding this to the collection. So there you go, number 35, Silver Surfer. Moving right along to Daredevil now. The Daredevil, this is a classic, issue 217 from 1984. This is a good run for Daredevil, and I want to say later on in the later 200s we kick into the Frank Miller storyline. But I just love this cover. I saw it, I had to pick it out. It's so beautiful in so many ways. Her face and hair is a little weird, but it's kind of like that through this whole series. But this is, the famous David Mazzucchelli, and some very significant, it just really shows how talented he is. I mean, granted, with Frank Miller, there's a lot of iconic Daredevil, but this is like one of my favorite frames of his, just in general. It's just so cool, man. He's so gifted, and you only get artists like him every so often, and that kind of establishes the branding for Daredevil, and kind of what we remember it as. It's just good stuff. So I picked this up. Nothing too crazy of an issue, but Matt Murdock going through the drama with his girls is typical, since it's more of a soap opera-y kind of style. But yeah, cool stuff. Pick this up, 217 Daredevil Volume 1. Moving right along to the last couple issues that we have, and this is the number 2, 659. Pretty much early 90s, prime time for the Nightfall saga, which it's just around the corner, guys. They're making an animated movie about this. So once again, these will probably go up in price, but I don't really know how many people are going to jump on board and read the comics, but it's kind of got the ventriloquist in here. Good stuff. The issue before this is the Mad Hatter, and I just really love that. It's just a great issue to kick off the Nightfall series. Haven't read this one, but it's these do go for quite a bit. This one is in good shape as well. Actually, all of these were pretty decent. They got 3 or 4 new comic book collections, so I've been going through it. Moving on to number 4. I don't like this cover, I don't like this art, but it is kind of a key issue, and I guess it's more for the story, but this is number 4, and once again, Killer Croc versus Bane. It has just these iconic. I mean, once you get into the artwork, minding the cover, it's so good. I mean, all this Killer Croc is just so fantastic. These are some of my favorite Killer Croc and Bane panels, and this is more one of the quintessential arcs for the story arc, and it kind of gets you kicked off. So yeah, man, really happy to have picked this up, and there's just so much that goes on in here, and the artwork is just so fantastic. This final scene here is just legendary. You know, these once again are like my favorite Killer Croc panels, and they just look so great. You know, it's a very nice thing. So, anyways, there you go. Number 4 of the Nightfall, moving right along to Detective Comics. This is the Nightfall number 8, 662. This one I don't know terribly too much about. More than anything, we're just kind of filling in the gaps. I don't recall this being anything crazy special, but we're adding it to the list. Moving right along to 687. This is the Troika storyline, 687 and 688. So I had this one, you know, I just managed to get it, and yeah, I'm just closing the storyline with this one. But yeah, it's where Batman was dealing with the consequences of the contagion, which is like a mid-90s story arc. So adding these right along. 690. This is it's a single issue, and it leads into the legacy storyline. So I really just like all the covers with when there's Batman and Robin, and you know, even though he does look kind of weird in this, I do like the color and the overall composition of this. So yeah, just adding this to the pile as well. You got, you know, Batman and Robin stuff going on here. Oh wow, no, that's, oh yeah, Firefly. That's right. This may be a key issue. I can't remember, but anyways, 690, adding it to the pack. And last but not least, I bought this. I went to go get a gift for a buddy for his birthday, and they had this for $4, so I just had to pick it up. So I'm just rolling it into this video because I don't want to make a video on its own. We are collecting the 436 and 439. There's 437. We just need 438. And we'll pretty much have this full run of origin story of Jason Todd, the new Robin. This is a key issue right here. Got it for $2, I think at Half Price Books. I got both of these, luckily. So I was really happy. So for $4, I'm not mad at this because these are going for like $8 to $10 at some comic book stores. I've seen this one up to like 15 or 12. So really happy to have these and add them to the collection. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Just remember to keep stacking, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks a bunch, and cheers, guys.